So, ladies and gentlemen, real life trading, we have a special guest today. We have Tracy Ball in the house, and congratulations, Tracy, on
Thank you.
getting funded. You grew that account 10%. Now the money becomes real. Tell us a little about you. Tell us about your journey so far.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the mentors actually over at Real Life Trading, and I've been trading for probably 6 to 7 years now as a full-time trader. And I took your mentorship, got into the automated trading, and I'm absolutely loving the bot trading 100%. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. So I live in Canada, and that's pretty much all I can say.
So, one of the questions I get often is, can you use the bot on a assessment account, or does it have to be a live account?
Well, I actually started with an assessment account, so just a trial account that you give us in our bot mentorship, which I highly recommend for a multitude of reasons. But the assessment account, you get a chance to practice and make sure that it works and see that it's operating functionally and what have you. So I actually have, and I still have, a trial account that I can practice with new setups and new bots and new settings and make sure that they're working properly before I actually put them to live on a demo account. So the practice account didn't cost me anything, but it gave me a great amount of time to, I guess, figure things out and make the mistakes that I needed to make before I actually put some money at risk.
And then you actually got into the assessment account, you connected the
Yes.
bot, and then what happened?
Yeah. So then I connected those bots to an actual assessment account, which would lead to a potential funded account. And well, I did it actually 3 times. So the first time that I ventured into an assessment account to try and get funded, I made the mistake of putting 2 bots on the same day at the same time, and they ended up hitting a max drawdown on a day. And that was an error that I had made on my part. I was just still kind of learning what I needed to do and didn't think about it. The second attempt that I had, I started to actually build a cushion into the account by trading it manually. And that account, and that was more because I didn't trust the bots yet. And that account, then I ended up hitting the 50,000. I basically moved it up to about $53,000 in the account. I was using a 50K account, so I had to get it to 5,500 to turn, sorry, 55,000 to turn it to real. And as the bots were performing, I then started to interfere. I started to, move my stops because I was getting anxious. Again, this came from a place of uncertainty. And there was a lesson that I needed to learn there. And that lesson was very simple. When you're trading with automation or bots, you're using an algorithm. The algorithm is not based on any particular sentiment. It's not based on rational decision making. It's just simply, here's some instructions, do what you do. This is the stop, this is the entrance, this is the target, execute the plan. When you're a discretionary trader like myself, you're utilizing decision making in that. So when you go and you take a look at what your bots are currently doing, it makes absolutely no sense. Why am I in this trade? And you start to see the trade either moving against you or failing or doing something that it shouldn't do. And you panic. You're thinking, I wouldn't be in this if I was actually executing this trade. So you then interfere. But the reality is that, it could do whatever. And that particular trade may not be working from a discretionary purpose, but from an algorithmic one, it does. So I had to learn to disassociate myself from that and realize that this is an algorithmic trade. Let it do its thing. And I can deal with my own discretionary trading and decision making separately. And they're 2 different entities. I need to treat them the same. And once I learned that lesson, I was able to do my third account, which I just let the bot go, didn't touch it again, didn't interfere, except the last day I interfered. And within 25 trades,
Mhm.
4 weeks, I was funded. And the last day I did interfere. I closed the trade out as soon as it crossed the threshold because I didn't
Sure.
want it to end up rolling over and then potentially leaving me for another potential day where I had to work to get funded. So I closed that trade manually.
Gotcha. So you're saying you
Yeah.
took the assessment account, grew it 10% by connecting a bot to it, growing it 10%, and then actually, of course, getting it funded again.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So now it's funded. Now I have live bots on a funded account working, which they did phenomenal today. and I still have those same rules in place that I have to avoid. And that's why I highly recommend people taking your bot mentorship, because not only do you give us bots, so we don't have to actually pay for the bot, we get it from taking your course. You teach us how to go through the whole optimization process, how to pick your settings, that kind of thing. And that's the vital part, as well as the steps of how do you maintain it? How do you make sure the bots are doing what they should do, as well as making sure that they aren't, well, if things start to change, how do you fix it? So,
Right. Well,
yeah,
I'm super excited and happy for you to cross that threshold. So again,
thank you.
congratulations. Tell us a little bit about, so most people ask the question, what strategy did you use? In this case, you used a bot, which executed a strategy. Just tell the real life nation here, the you like that real life nation.
I do,
Tell
yeah.
us a little bit about like what bot you use just from a high level for the general real life trading audience.
Yeah, so I actually utilized three different strategies. And for the first portion of the account, which was, I think, the first 2 weeks, I had a snapback trading bot that was operating on a Monday and a Tuesday. And I had an opening range breakout bot that was operating on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And after the second week, I, from my settings and from the things that I do on a weekly basis, determined that the Snapbot was not working the way that I wanted it to work. So I switched it out for the 10 EMA bot.
Sure.
And the 10 EMA was working on a Monday, Tuesday, and I still had the ORB working on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now,
Nice.
I still have all of those bots currently working on my funded account. I've just taken my Thursday, Friday bots out because I'm having some issues with them. So I've just got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the moment, and I'm looking for some replacements for Thursday, Friday.
That's super awesome. So it sounds like you basically just you like based on your own analysis, probably at the end of the week, you're able to determine that they aren't. Maybe it's a certain number of consecutive losses in a row. You determine to take them offline, replace them, and let them continue to run, which is actually pretty amazing if you think about it, because you set them up and you just let them work and you review.
Yeah.
I like to personally review them on the weekend, see how well it did over the week, kind of look at a whole week's worth of trading. So it sounds like that's what you did.
That's exactly what I do. I look at them. I mean, I log all my trades every single day because I want to know where some of the rules are sitting
Sure.
for the funded account. And I'm just curious as well. I want to know how they're doing. So I do check them every single day, but I I spend a good 3 hours probably every weekend. And what I do there is I'm just retesting the current performance of those bots and I'm comparing it to my original optimization results. And
Right.
from there, I'm looking for deviations from that optimization. And if it starts to deviate within a certain percentage, that sends up a red flag for me. And all an optimization is just this is kind of a benchmark of how it's working. So I have settings. This is how it performed in the past. Now it's performing in real. I want to see how the results compare to how it performed in the past. And if it starts to deviate too far from what I'm expecting it to do, then I need to make some changes and I need to step in front of the bots and say, hey, look, you're moving too far away from where I want you to be. So let's do something different.
And then you just reevaluate. So for
Yeah.
those people who have never gone through a bot class, don't know how that is, how that works, can you explain in maybe in your words something related to like the actual back test itself? How, like, as you know, you can run back tests over any ticker, any asset class, any time frame on any chart, right? 5 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute, 1 hour, like all the different things. Can you explain to someone who's never looked at an automated back test, like how does that compare to something like manually going back and back trading, let's say to the beginning of January on a 3 minute chart on Tesla using like the 10 EMA strategy? How do those two things compare? Because I know most people have no idea that just the enormous power that the software has built in.
Right. Right. So there's two components to this. There's the optimization component and then there's the back test component. So first, the optimization component is actually, and this is what's really cool, it will run through every time frame setting that you have, every stop loss percentage setting that you have, every target setting that you have. It will run all the different combinations of whatever settings you want to run and analyze the performance based on those settings. And it can do it at a computer speed, which is incredibly important. it will then spit back some results that basically say to you, here are the results of these different combinations of settings. You can then analyze those optimization reports and determine, well, I like the settings here. I like the results of those settings. Let me continue using those, or let me look at those further. Let me do a deeper dive. Then you've got the component of a back test, which actually takes those settings and applies those settings over a set duration of time, and then executes all of the trades that meet the criteria through that specific time. Now, that can be done in a fraction of the time that it would take for you to actually back trade those same scenarios. Now, the purpose of back testing is just to run and get the results and see the numbers. Back trading has a very different functionality, which is designed to teach you something. So the back testing is something that can be done very, very quickly. You can determine whether or not it has historically worked in a specific fashion, and you get some benchmarks based on that historical performance. That's what a benchmark, or sorry, that's what a back test is.
Right. Right. And keep in mind that each bot has about a dozen settings, and people ask me all the time, how do I know what settings to use? And that's kind of what the optimization test will tell you, is it'll run every possible iteration, like hundreds of thousands, or sometimes, I don't know about you, but the biggest one I've run is probably about close to 10 million tests. And it took about 14 hours to complete, ran overnight. And I got, boom, here's the top, 3 or 4 things to look at. And I kind of do a deeper dive on each one of those, as you've talked about, for consistency, max number of wins in a row, losses in a row, and kind of think through the drawdown and the return to kind of narrow down which of those I really wanted to look at. And it's really hard to comprehend if you haven't actually run an automated back test, just how well, like for you, Tracy, how long would it take you to manually trade, go back, do a back trade since January of this year on Tesla on a 10 EMA strategy? It would take a long time, right?
A long time, yeah.
But this software can do it in what, a minute, 2 minutes, something like that? And
Yeah.
it doesn't make mistakes. It's like automated, boom, 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 boom. And they'll say, well, here's how much you would have made over this time frame using these grouping of settings. And so it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Not only does it do that, but you can click deals, and you can actually see every single trade that it executed, the entry, the exit, and whether it hit your stop loss or target. So, and the timestamp for each of those. So you can actually go back and look at each of those trades as well. Yeah.
Right. And you can also export that and kind of nerd out on some Excel and some statistics and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, that's awesome. I'm super excited for you. Can you tell us just kind of your final maybe thoughts for anyone who is somewhere in this funded account, somewhere between blowing up their account and not yet funded, somewhere in that no man's land that seems like that people stay at for a while? Any thoughts, suggestions that you would give them?
Yeah, I honestly feel like the biggest issue for a lot of people is they're trying to rush it. And for those of you who have heard what I was doing before, know that I actually reduced the R in my third account. So I wasn't even using a full R. And when I mean R, that's a risk unit, and that's typically about 1% of your account. So on a 50K account, you would risk $500 typically. That would be average. Now I dropped that down to $250. So if any trade loses, I'm going to lose around $250 if it hits my stop loss. And I'm okay with that. But my intention was let's just give the bots room. Let's give them time to do their thing and not force the issue. So, I get people asking me, how many bots could I trade in a day? Or, how, like, it's all about speed. I say, slow it down. Don't worry about it. If you only trade 3 days a week, that's okay. There's some great lessons to be learned from a bot that can actually get profit by only making 1 trade a day, or that can only trade 3 times a week, whatever it might be. There's a great lesson in there for us traders as well, to step away from the charts and just, maybe spend some more time living our life instead of being locked in at the computer thinking that we have to be there for every single trade. That's the nice thing. So yeah, take it slow.
Right. And one of the things I've learned is I had this, we'll call it a limiting belief, that the more time in front of the screen equals the more money I would make. And what I learned is that's it's not true, number one. And sometimes it's counterproductive. So like if I just do trades 1 or 2, in the first hour or 2 of the day and be done for the day, I end up making way more than if I'm trying to stay around all day making things, forcing trades that aren't really there, and all the things where I make money and then give it back in the afternoon. I learned my lesson early on. Just You don't have to do it that way. The other thing
Yeah.
you said, which is super important, that most people probably have never even looked at in their own trade log and their own trade journals, is identifying and looking at, hey, maybe I don't really do so good on Wednesdays or X day, whatever day it is. And then say, you know what, if I stop trading on Wednesdays, number one, I get more time. And number two, I don't show up on my most common losing day. So I'm working less to make more. And most people don't have never even thought about it that way. Of course, bots making thousands or hundreds of thousands of back tests, back trades, and doing that in just a few minutes or hours, it gives you different insights into things. And so I've heard that before where people they would say that the bots have actually helped their manual trading as too, because they think about things more systematically than just shoot from the hip, hope it works, hope I get my
Exactly.
profit target. And, it doesn't always work that way, right? So,
I had two trades when I was using the other, like previous account, that ended up blowing up where I was interfering with the bots. And there was two encounters. Both encounters came within 10 cents of hitting my stop, but I exited the trade
mm,
and both of those hit the target.
mm,
So
lesson
that,
learned.
yeah, lesson learned. That's a hard lesson to learn, especially
Sure.
when had I not interfered, that account actually would have been funded. So
Funded
it,
earlier. Yeah. Sooner.
yeah,
Yeah.
that particular trade would have resulted in the funded account. That was the pivotal point that went from becoming a funded trader to having that account blow out and fail. And it was all due to my own error, my own interference.
Sure.
So,
Awesome.
and just to throw some numbers here at you, my son, he's got some bots working right now on an account, and today he was running a 10 EMA on Tesla, and his bot performed 3 trades. Each trade was over 2 grand. So, and running a $400 R on it.
Nice.
So 2 grand on the first trade. It was $2,300 on the first trade, 2,100 on the second trade, and the third trade was $569. That was
Awesome.
3 trades, one bot, one day, $400 max risk on the trade, and yeah, phenomenal. So that's just to give you an idea what these bots can do if you
Sure.
just leave them alone.
Sure. Makes
Yeah,
mama proud, right?
it does absolutely.
And how
Yeah.
old is your son? How old is he?
He's 16,
Oh,
and
wow.
I made the deal. So right now he's working with a paper account, and I made the deal with him. If he got that paper account to a funded level, then I would, without breaking any rules, I
Sure.
would then get an actual funded assessment account for him that he can run. It'll be in my name, of course, and then
Yep.
our deal is that he can have 50% of the proceeds. I'll keep the other portion because I need to pay taxes on it,
Sure.
and then he can put that money towards his education. He's going to be graduating this year and going to become an anesthesiologist. So that's a big, huge
Nice.
goal for him.
Sure.
And he'll have some bigger spending money as well. And he won't have to actually get a job. He can focus on his education and then just put the time in to deal with the bots on the weekend. But he had to put some time in first. And today he just crossed that threshold. So I owe him a funded account.
An account. Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
awesome. I'm so excited about that. Sounds amazing.
It is.
And, thanks to you, of course, for having the foresight to, of course, bring your son into this and learn all about all these cool new technologies. The average person in America, I don't think even knows this kind of stuff exists.
No.
The ads I see on Instagram are this Forex bot, and it always seems so scammy and slimy. And that was the initial impression, is just that, like people just want to sell their stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And once they have sold their bot, then, good luck with that. They don't answer questions. You don't even know how these things work. There's no one to reach out to. They got your money. Good luck. Right. And so that's kind of why we shape this course and this mentor group how it is, where you pay us for the training and you get the bots for free. So,
Yeah, and I have to say that's the primary difference and the most important aspect of this that I think everybody needs to know, because the part that you teach is critical and vital. It's absolutely critical, and I would never have ventured into this without it. So thank you, Matt. So
well, thank you, Tracy.
yeah,
And thanks so much again for sharing your time with us and giving us some detailed look at how you got funded. You went from blowing up a couple accounts to actually getting funded. Again, congratulations. Thank you so much for
thank
your
you.
time.